Welcome to day 106 of our BitClout journey. I'm Ed Trassenstein here with my twin brother Brian. And today we have a lot of really good and interesting news around BitClout. It's been kind of a lull for, probably a week and a half. But today there's some good news that's come out and some interesting information I think everybody should know about. Number one, yesterday Nadine made a post introducing CIPS, which is Clout Improvement Proposals, which is essentially the same as BIPs is for Bitcoin, where developers can propose new ideas and essentially move on to working on those ideas. So it's divided into three different categories: small, medium.
Can I cut you off? Because I think Nadine yesterday made a post also before announcing this and said it's pronounced CIPS, not KIPS. But whatever however you want to call it.
I would call it CIPS because the C in CIPS stands for clout. Stands for clout.
Well, whatever.
So it's anyhow, CIPS, KIPS, whatever you want to call it, is a system where a developer can propose ideas, and then once approved, they can work on those ideas and bring it to the BitClout core. So they're divided into small, medium, and large proposals. And the small proposals are for smaller things, like stuff that you probably wouldn't even notice on a platform. They go up to large. Brian, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so if you're a developer and you have a really small project, and it defines what a small project is on the CIPS website, github.com/bitclout/CIPS, CIPS. And a small project, all you have to do is just submit the proposal and get approval of it, and you start working on it. The medium ones are a little more difficult. You want to have a core developer approve of the project, and the large ones you want to have the community buy into the project. So you want to discuss it, both the medium and large. You want to have a discussion first, the community buy into the large ones, and then a core developer approve you to work on it or others to work on it. And once they're approved, they go into I guess you could say, the database of projects being worked on. And there are several projects that we found that are being worked on that a lot of people had no clue were being worked on. And I can quickly get into this if you want me to, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, so number one, we know about NFTs, that's coming, but there's some other ones that you might want to talk about.
Yes, so there's NFTs. There is something called Clout Split, which we have no clue what it is. Maybe you can split Clout with other people. Maybe if you're working on projects with others, you can split it. We don't know for sure. There's Referrals, which is coming along with Fuel in the Fire. That was like one project. So there's going to be a way to refer people, it appears, and maybe get something out of it. There's also something for, let me look at that whole list here. There's something for pin post. I think Lazy Nina is working on pin post. That's something we were really adamant on. Well, I think that will be really important to have pin post because it allows people to kind of explain in further details what they're all about and what their projects are all about. Derived keys. Now, I don't know exactly what this is going to be, but something interesting, whether they're going to be a split keys off somehow. It's definitely something we should have to look more into. Email and phone verification. Discovery and search is a project they're working on. Something else that was odd is something called featured coin drops every week. So, I mean, there's so much going on. There's so many projects.
The featured coin drops, I assume that is where if you're running a node, you can have a list of new people who have come onto the platform, perhaps celebrities or top influencers, and you have that featured list. I'm not sure, but to me, that's what that means.
Yeah, but I think the ultimate thing is that we're about to see a lot of change. We're about to see a lot of new additions. I think that there has been this lull the last month or so where engagement's still pretty good, but you're not seeing the heavy flow of new users and the excitement that you did maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago. But I think that's all about to change, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of this stuff happening within the next week or so, at least some of it. And I think that should be enough to get the community excited. And once that all happens, Diamond Hands has made it clear that he's going to pour fuel on the fire, and by that he means he's going to start marketing, and they're going to start marketing BitClout to the mainstream, I guess, and that's exciting as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, like some of these things, like the referral thing, that's the thing that's going to help bring people into the platform. If maybe I don't know how it'll work, but perhaps if you give somebody a referral link and they sign up, maybe you get the first opportunity to buy their coin once they buy their own coin. So
Yeah, or with referrals, you could have something where if you refer somebody else, like you could get a referral link for Krasenstein coin. And if you refer somebody to it and they buy Krasenstein coin, maybe you can get a cut of that founder reward or something like that. There's all kinds of ideas that are probably shooting around, but we won't know until it actually rolls out.
yeah, and right now all the large projects that are on the GitHub are by the core development team. But in the future, I assume they hope that other developers come in and start taking part in these larger projects as well after being approved by the core devs. So I think CIPS, I think it's a great new platform for developers to build out on BitClout. I think it's something that's needed in a decentralized social media platform so that everything's not just being developed by the core developers. Any developer can participate, and now each thing has to be approved by the community or at least discussed by the community. So it's no longer just a core developer centralizing what happens on the platform.
Yeah, and something else I found interesting was that in the CIPS, I guess you could say document, they mentioned that they're looking for more core developers. So they're going to add to the core team, it appears, in addition to just third-party developers coming on board and working and writing code and proposing changes. And one of the major, I guess, one of the major problems a lot of skeptics had with BitClout at this point is that there is no CIPS, and there hasn't been a way for developers, third-party developers, especially to come in and say, hey, this needs to change. Here's a proposal of what we could do to change things. And this is yet another, I guess, nail in the coffin of the skeptics, because you've got CIPS coming about yesterday.
Well, I mean, the argument, you know, that BitClout's not really decentralized is a flawed one, because even Bitcoin wasn't decentralized when they first launched. I mean, the core development team of Bitcoin were the ones that bought Bitcoin the cheapest and owned the most Bitcoin at that time. So, I mean, it's just a way it has to work. There's no way around it. When a crypto starts out, there has to be some sort of centralization in place, because otherwise there's nobody there to create the platform. So,
Right.
you know,
And I think that one thing to point out is that even though Bitcoin is proof of work and this is more like proof of stake, the first like year and a half, Satoshi Nakamoto owned 1 million Bitcoin. Now, the outstanding quantity, the quantity of Bitcoin in the first year and a half was only about 2 million. So he basically owned half of all the Bitcoin in the first year and a half. We're like 4 6 months into it, depending on when you say it's all launched. And sure, there's a lot of clout that's owned by VCs, but we don't know how quickly that's going to be distributed, whether VCs sell, whether there might be some sort of airdrop from some of these lock coins. We don't know what's going to happen. So to irrationally criticize it as being centralized when it's only 4 months into the whole thing is just irresponsible.
well, I mean, if you criticize it for being centralized and yet you criticize Bitcoin for having been centralized by Satoshi Nakamoto when it was created. So
Right,
I mean,
but that was proof of work. So it was whoever had the computing power, which was pretty much Hal Finney, Satoshi, and a group of other, I guess, guys working on the code.
yeah, it wasn't very many people in the beginning. So I mean, it's not much different than, you know, the VCs who own the majority of BitClout right now.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a good place to leave off. I think a lot of exciting things are happening. I think the next few weeks we're going to be talking a lot about changes rather than just boring stuff.
Yeah, so see you guys all tomorrow.